we'll talk the warships of one of the most interesting factions in Star Wars, the Hapens, on today's Star Wars video. Hey guys, this is Justin. Hello and welcome to another video. You probably know, if you join the relaunched Eckhart's Letter Patreon, you get the opportunity to ask questions each month. Questions I guarantee you will get an answer to either in video form or in text. You can join the Patreon down in the description. There will always be a chance for video watchers to get their questions asked, but today's comes from the Northman, who says, can you do a video breaking down the Hapes Consortium? And he wants to know specifically about their history and their ships. So out of universe, the Hapens have a really interesting storyline. They were first introduced in the courtship of Princess Leia as another faction within the Star Wars galaxy, but they later become an even more important galactic power as they ally themselves with the New Republic, fighting not just the Empire, but also the Yuuzhan Vong and various other factions. If you've read the Young Jedi Knight series, you probably remember Tenel Ka. She was a Hapen princess who would also give birth to Jason's daughter, i.e. Han and Leia's granddaughter, Alana Solo. So, sort of to summarize, the Hapens appear in the courtship of Princess Leia, then frequently whenever the New Republic or the Galactic Alliance or the Jedi need an ally, the Hapens are often called. A lot of what you need to know about the Hapens actually is found in the courtship of Princess Leia. We learn that they were an extremely isolationist faction within the Hapes cluster who had kept their border closed, violently so, for over 3,000 years. The Hapens were powerful enough and their territory was small enough that they were actually able to maintain their independence even during the time of the Empire. The prologue of The Essential Guide to Warfare actually tells a story where Grand Admiral Teshik is sent by the Emperor to the Hapes cluster and his task force is completely destroyed. The book also tells us a story from Han's perspective where a smuggling group tried to set up a base on the edges of Hapen space. One day they discovered, came out of hyperspace, and annihilated almost everyone there, even though they weren't doing anything. At this point, after the Battle of Endor, the Hapes cluster is relatively secure, at least from outside threats, as we'll get to in a minute. The Hapes Consortium was matriarchal, with most power placed within the hands of the Queen Mother or the leaders of the royal families. The Hapens descended from a group of raiders and basically the wives they stole from across the galaxy. These were the Laurel Raiders. They plundered while their women stayed at home. One day, most of them were eliminated by the Jedi, and thus they took power. Unsurprisingly, anti-Jedi sentiment is common even in the modern Hapes Consortium, especially among traditionalists like Queen Mother Ta Chum. Piracy was also looked down upon simply because of the riches contained within the Hapes cluster. Hapens, by the way, are human. They're generally indistinguishable from any other human in the galaxy as well, although they were generally tall and beautiful. After the Hapen women grabbed power and established the consortium, they began a brief period of expansion before isolation from the rest of the galaxy. As mentioned, the Hapes Consortium was ruled by the Queen Mother, which obviously was a hereditary title. Ta Chum is the Queen Mother at the time of the courtship of Princess Leia, and she is one of the most awful characters in Star Wars Legends. I probably should do a video all on her, but she abdicates the throne. Teneniel Jo becomes the next Queen Mother, despite actually being Dathomiri, which was because Ta Chum did not have any female heirs of her own. Rather, it was the wife of her son Isolder, the hunky guy on some covers for the courtship of Princess Leia, who ended up becoming the next Queen Mother. Her name was Teneniel Jo. Her story is also wild. It would eventually become Tenel Ka. The thing you need to understand, however, is that even when Ta Chum abdicated the throne, she still wielded immense power, not only directly, but through other families, through spies and assassins. Assassinations were extremely common among the upper echelons of Hapen society. A society which, by the way, was matriarchal not only in the fact that the Queen Mother was the leader, but also that men had very little power. Families were also prominent within the Hapes cluster, and often fleets and ships would be divided based on family ties. Now, Isolde was waiting for his mother to revel in her victory, make some seemingly inconsequential but pointed remark designed to show the superiority of the female intellect over that of a male. The women of Hapes had an old saying, "Never let a man become so deluded as to believe that he is the intellectual equal of a woman. It only leads him to evil." Anyway, how powerful was the Hapes Consortium? What were their ships like? Well, let's talk about it. They actually go over this, again, quite nicely in the Courtship of Princess Leia. Tenennial remained quiet for a long time, thoughtful. "Your mother rules 63 stars?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Yes," Isolde said. "Does she have soldiers, warriors, and starships?" "Billions of warriors, thousands of starships." There were specifically, at least at the time of the Courtship of Princess Leia, 63 inhabited systems and worlds within the Hapes cluster, and they were all in extremely close proximity. These worlds were each very, very wealthy, and in courtship are each represented by a single battle dragon during the Hapen delegation's trip to Coruscant. There were, however, more than 63 battle dragons, with there being, in fact, hundreds of these vessels. The battle dragon is an interesting ship. It was 500 meters long, with dual rotating saucers, each covered with a total of 40 turbo lasers and ion cannons. Hapen technology was not as divergent from the rest of the galaxy as you might expect, although at the time of contact with the New Republic, their turbo laser technology was worse, and specifically slow recharging. To help compensate for that, the discs on the Hapen battle dragons actually spun, meaning that new charged up weapons could be brought to bear against an enemy. Hapen vessels were usually employed in mass swarms where they were very effective in overwhelming fewer numbered enemies. We see this most at the Battle of Dathomir, where they helped destroy the Iron Fist. The Hapens also used a form of interdictor mine, which, when dropped on the battlefield, would prevent all ships from jumping to hyperspace for a certain period of time. The downsides were that because so many mines were laid, you couldn't simply escape the interdiction by destroying a single cruiser. On the other hand, once the mines were laid, no one was escaping until the time expired. So if the battle starts turning for the opponent, the mines end up becoming the thing which trap you. Anyway, battle dragons would become much more effective after the Hapens began cooperating with the New Republic. Additional ships in their fleet include the smaller Nova cruisers, and yes, these look like Klingon birds of prey, as well as the Beta cruisers. At times during this video, you may see other ships which look vaguely Hapen. That's because I'm playing the Empire at War mod, Thrawn's Revenge, and the team has done a really good job at imagining other designs which could fit within the Hapen Navy. Additionally, the Hapens had a massive ceremonial ship known as Star Home. It was 2.5 kilometers long. Star Home, however, was more of a ceremonial castle than a warship, and you would not want to see this thing fight in any sort of modern battle. Anyway, that's the basics of the Hapes Consortium. They factor into a lot of very important moments in Star Wars. I already mentioned how Tenel Ka ends up playing an important role in continuing the Skywalker legacy. She's also one of my favorite characters in the Young Jedi Knight series of books, but the Hapens also play a massive role in assisting the New Republic or the Galactic Alliance, especially during the Yuuzhan Vong War. I've done a video on the Battle of Fondor. I'm not going to reiterate it here, but essentially a Hapen fleet was trying to defend Fondor from the Yuuzhan Vong when almost their entire fleet was wiped out by Center Point Station, which was not ideal for Hapen New Republic relations. But that's all I've got. Let me know what you think about the Hapens. Would you like to see them in Star Wars canon? I certainly would, and you can introduce them at any point. They've just been hiding, they've been chilling out. I need to see a live action battle dragon. But until next time, be safe, have a good one, and may the Force be with you. Oh, don't forget, join the Patreon. It helps me out, and we've got some cool ideas. I do want to, I'm not going to say anything. We'll see. Join the Patreon.